In this video I wanted to talk about the importance of being prepared as a Marine commander. It's your duty to make the calls, and the faster you can make the calls and communicate them to your players, the better. You don't have much time to lose anyway as a Marine player. So if you are prepared and you have a battle plan and you know how to react to certain situations, that's always going to help out the team, no matter what. So in this video I'll go over some of the most basic opening splits, and in another video I will try to give you the pros and cons of different upgrade strategies. So let's begin with the openings. One of the most common openings is 2-2-1 split. Depending on where you send the one Marine, you can have a pretty offensive 2-2-1 or a pretty defensive one. Basically, the most defensive one is if you keep one Marine in your base, so you have one here. You send 2 to cap one side, and then 2 to cap the other. And what will this do? This one will stay in base to build stuff, and these two will just focus on capping and protecting the sides of your base. And even if one side gets swarmed and is able to push through, you'll still have the one in base, and you'll still have yourself in CC who can jump out and shoot stuff. And depending on what you research first, you might also have mines in base or second IP, so this opening should prevent any easy base rushes on your base. A second 2-1 opening you can do is, instead of having the one stay in base, you basically keep sending 2 here, 2 here, and then the one will go to crossroads. This first job will be to scout incoming skulls, because by sound alone you can hear a lot, and it should definitely be his job to tell you what he's seeing or what he's not seeing, because not seeing skulls will also let you in on some information. But yeah, you still have the 2 on each side, which will prevent one side being swarmed too much. It's still possible to get cleared if 5 skulls decide to pinch these 2 Marines. But then you can still send one of these guys back to base, and you can get out and defend yourself as well. So if that happens, this one person who was scouting can seize the opportunity to push for an RT himself. He can push on to crevice and try to take down the harvester that's dropped there, or not dropped, or delay it. So this is sort of defensive, but it has the possibility to be a bit more offensive, which is important in the early game. And then the most offensive opening is, of course, sending 2 guys to cross, and then 2 to one side, and maybe 1 to one side. The job of this one Marine will be to stay defensive for a bit, because you never know if they're gonna rush you, and if you're building stuff while they rush you, you're gonna lose a lot. So the one who is alone can probably check this side and maybe check this side, see if he hears anything. These 2 can build, and these 2 will be either pushing crevice or pushing reactor. This is the pressure team. They will go across, scout it first, and they will move on as fast as possible. If, for instance, this guy gets rushed, you can always send one back to defend. If these guys get rushed, you can always send this guy back to defend. But the ones who are going cross should always be the offensive guys. They should never try to run back to save RTs or save base. They should be the ones pushing. A more offensive opening is the 1-1-3 split, which is basically just one here, and then you have 3 guys going cross, and these guys might split up. You might send 1 to crevice and then 2 to reactor, or you might send all of these guys together to one side. And basically these guys will be, I wouldn't say 100% sure, but if you send 3 guys on the offense early, they will either draw all the aliens back, or they will definitely kill one harvester or at least kill a gorge, or maybe if there's another harvester here, they can keep pushing to base and shoot a harvester here, or maybe try to aglock them, depending on the situation. It's a pretty offensive opening, which of course leaves you with just one on each side, meaning it's a bit more vulnerable to base rushes, because this guy can probably get cleared easily by his scout pack, unless he's really good shot. So you have maximum one guy you can send back to base, and just one yourself to defend as well. The other thing that's annoying, if aliens see that you are pushing with 3, they will sometimes just delay dropping a harvester. And if your marines are not sure what to do, they can end up just sitting on one side doing nothing. So you have to spot those things early and give them the right directions. There's also a bit more risky opening involving sending all your marines on their own. So basically you have one guy here still, one here, then you have one pushing directly to flight, one pushing directly to data, and then you still have one guy left here in the middle. And basically you're gonna try to put some pressure on the sides early by sending these guys to crevice and the reactor core, and well, these guys will cap, and this guy can try to lane block a bit, or maybe build as well. It depends on what's the situation. I wouldn't recommend the last one if you're not sure about your marines aim. I think in general 2-1-2 split with sending one guy to cross is a decent opening for the average marine team. If you have some decent shots, you can maybe send the one alone who is the best shot, and then have 2 guys pressure, because having a 2-man pressure team is important as well. But it also depends on how large the map is. On Summit it's not quite as large as some other maps, so you don't really need to send that much people to the other side as fast as possible. You can maybe take a bit more time to build up and then do some double pressure on both sides with 2-man teams, while the one on cross is scouting. So important thing to realize is the positioning of marines. These splits are always these splits are easy on a map like Summit, because the map layout is pretty easy. On other maps you might have more complex routes, so you have to realize that depending on the maps you need to adjust your splits a bit. So you have to basically block all the easy lanes into your base by sending at least one guy to camp the choke points. In this case, Xalos can get into base through here and here. So, well, they only can get through base here, or maybe they use the vents, but still, if you keep one here, this will basically block off this side, and if you keep one here, you can block off this side. On other maps you'll have multiple routes that you need to block. That's just something you need to keep in mind. So in next video I will go over some of the more tech paths you can choose. So hope you learned something from this. I'll see you next video then.